Good morning, friends. Very good morning to you all. And it's a very unusual time when Akhil and Ashish told me about this function. I said, yes, we'll be very pleased to do it, and it will be very nice. I was thinking market is going to just go up, and we'll say hello to all of you. And here you are in a officially declared bear market. You are hearing early morning a bull operator. So, so this is the contrast cannot be bigger. So we chose yesterday, the only thing now I can say is that how do you swim against the tide? Because tide has definitely turned. And how do you make money even in a difficult market? Because clients look at you all and us to save their savings first and then make some money for them. Because this is the nature of risk financial markets have, and risk is now real. When the markets are going up, when you tell them that there is a risk in equities, actually it is not visible. And particularly for the first timers or the new people, they think that there's only one way but up, one way up. And they don't realize that, yes, there can be a very painful downturn. And here is the best of the downturn you are seeing. And it just, yesterday morning when things were all going haywire here and there, and guest, I had the first meeting in the morning at about 10:30. Good friend, an IS officer from Maharashtra cadre, and retired man, and he comes and says, sir, can you see my portfolio? So I saw his portfolio, and I was knowing that he has a good amount of shares and all, so there were 3-4 entries of more than 1 crore rupees. So one entry intrigued me. It was Asian Paints, 13,100 odd shares, and it was valuing 1 crore 21 lakhs. So I said, sir, when did you buy this? He said, I bought it in 1982. So I said, how much you paid? 1,700 rupees. Okay, this is actually yesterday's event. 1,700 rupees for 200 shares. I took out my calculator and I did my number. It is 29.5% compounded for 32 odd years. And he's an old man. He has a lot of shares like that, ITC, Gujarat Ambuja Cement, and there were some junks also. It's not that he's just that visionary. But what investing means is not only about putting money. Yesterday I learned first thing, I said my day is made. Because when you see these kind of events, then you realize what it means to making money in the market. It's not about putting money. You have to also invest. Even the bigger thing is the investing time, the patience, the time, the kind of emotional construct to bring. There is no other way. If you don't have that, there is no way one can make money. So that was a big lesson I had. I must have told this story 3-4 times. I think Ashish also I told yesterday. This morning also. So this is a very moving story. In fact, I wanted to collect his, because he's an IS officer, so he wanted to keep his purchase price, when did he buy, because there should not be any misunderstanding in government that how he has collected this 1 crore rupees worth of shares. So he has all the documents out there. So clearly, investing is a lot more challenging than what the channels and the people like us also at times make out. We try to make it very easy. It's not that easy, And so there's a lot of money to be made, and we'll make a lot of money. That is guaranteed. That nobody can stop us from making money, because you don't make money because market is going up or down. That's just a noise. You make money because you invest in the right company and you stay on for a long time. So when the companies make money, you make money. It's that simple. So yes, today I am in the same house as you are. I don't have any more wisdom about what's happening in the global markets or local markets. I have absolutely, you'll get people who will be coming, 30 speakers, very impressive. And congratulations to the organizers of this conference that they put up such wonderful and brilliant show. So I'm sure a lot of guys will come who will give you some, really insightful things about what's happening in the world, what's about global macro. But that's the last thing I know anything about global macro. Or short-term markets. Actually, you must not even, I should pay you money to tell you what is going to happen in the market, because I'm just very bad at short-term markets and global macro. So in my style of investing, of making money, they don't exist. I mean, global macro, local macro, short-term market. So what I will do, how much time do we have, ma'am? No, but still there must be some time. So I'll cut 15 minutes? Okay. So we will look at, I have a presentation, swimming against the tide. And what I'll do is I'll quickly move through some of the things which are going to be, which is relevant today, which is relevant always in terms of how we tackle the market. Because this is the market, I can tell you with a lot of confidence that there is a lot of money to be made. I don't know whether the market is going to go down by another 5% or not, because I'm saying the same thing from 8,500, 8,000, 7,500, 7,000 also. So I don't have any credibility of predicting what is going to happen in the market in the short term. But 5 years out, I'm quite sure we'll all be laughing to the club. Okay? So how do we make money in this headwinded environment? What is the tide? I mean, what are we struggling with? Global deflation. I mean, everywhere now we are talking about, I mean, somebody said Japan's minus 1% interest, minus 0.1 interest is not an accident or anything like that. In fact, FT says yesterday that the governments in Europe and all over the world, they should go much deeper into negative interest rates, maybe 1%, 2% negative interest rates. I think this is completely uncharted, and nobody knows how do you handle. I mean, like in 100 years of history, we have, even in Second World War and Great Depression, we have never heard about how the world operates with negative interest rates. And we are operating with 8% interest rate, and there is a fear that it might be hiked. So these are two contrasts, but global deflation is reality right now. Is Asia, whether it is Europe, even America. I mean, America is doing well, but whether they are going to do well. I mean, the latest news is that people are predicting that US itself will go in recession. So all kinds of things are there, and nobody knows what's wrong or right. And so that's one huge global macro headwinds. Then we have in India our own version of headwind in terms of, now this is the first major reform government of India has actually taken up. That is reforming the public sector banks, which is 2/3 of the global system. So you can say one way that this is the bad thing which is happening. Another, I would look at it like this is the biggest, this is really biting the bullet by the government. And that can happen only if your financial conditions are very good. Because what it means is that you are recognizing 1 lakh crore bad debts, you have to pay up 1 lakh crore to the banks for recapitalizing. So clearly, government financial position is very good. From that strength, they are coming in. And immediately, see, this is the first step of the entire reforms on the PSU bank side. There is a complete list of plans. One by one, it will happen. Because first, they will round up all the bad guys. After that, they will send the capital back to the banks. And then they'll change the management, they'll reform the management, and hopefully in 12, 18 months, the whole thing should look much different than what it is today. So this is a really biting the bullet by the government. So we have, and then on top of it, what really matters for me in terms of macro is the corporate profits. That's very stagnant. And whenever corporate profits are stagnant, you might take the market up by 30%, it is definitely going to fall back. And that's what really happened. Modi Sahab promised, people expected that corporate profits will move up. Stock market went up by 30%, corporate profits didn't move. Market is again back to where it started from. So what is really important, I mean, all the global macro, local macro put together, if corporate profits move up, nothing matters. Because ultimately, if a company makes 100 crores, you give him 1,000 crores valuation. If a company makes 1,000 crores, nothing comes on the way. You will give a valuation of 9 to 10,000 crores. So the issue is, market is that simple, whether there is a corporate profit growth or not. And that's where the stagnation, and that's where the nucleus of the trouble is. Corporate profits are stagnant, or probably after this PSU results, it might be a little lower only. So what has happened? Markets are flat for last 5 years. I'm quite sure all of your clients, they must be asking, you guys keep saying, come to the stock market, you'll make double or triple of your fixed income, and yet, where are those returns? That's the question everybody is asking, and clearly, we don't have any answer. Markets are flat, and for 5 years, it's about 6%, 3 years, 6.9%, and 1 year, minus 16%. So how to swim in this kind of situation? This is a crazy situation. I mean, for me, the new thing is the global macro. I mean, we have been doing for the last 35 years as far as the Indian macro, Indian conditions, and we have grown up in that. But the new thing is that much bigger, much more complex global macro, and that is complicated by 20% ownership of FIIs in India. Otherwise, it's fine. What's happening in China, what's happening in Japan doesn't impact us so much. But it just comes like that because of 20% of market, and I think 40% of floating stock is owned by them. So they are much more formidable force. And I'm quite sure they're not done. Yeah. So they are not done, and hence they are there. So how to swim against that? So we have with us the strength of our wealth creation studies. We have our investment philosophy. Any manager, what is the instrument he has? What is the tool he has? The tool is his investment philosophy. I mean, if you go to a hotel, any restaurant, what does he have? He has a recipe. Recipe to make good Chinese food, recipe to make good vada pav, recipe to make good Italian food. That is very important. The recipe has to be perfect. If you have the recipe, there is a good chance that you'll get good food, you'll get good products. This recipe has worked well, and we have done well in last 15, 20 months. I think we have limited time, so let me just move quickly. So one of the biggest problem today in the market is that there are two types of information, important and unimportant, knowable and unknowable. Now, what happens is that we have to focus on important and knowable. Where people are focusing is important but not knowable. 99% of the noise, this is the core of the current trouble. People are focused on 99% of the important. I mean, what is going to happen in China, what is going to happen, it's very important, but not knowable. So why bother about it? So let's focus on important and knowable. I try to put 90-95% of the time in important and knowable, which are more concerned with the corporate results and corporate profits, and only 1 or 2%, 5% into the global macro. So global macro, but right now the discussion clients are completely moved emotionally by the global macro rather than corporate profits and all. So this is where you have to train yourself. Clients will remain where they are, but you have to change yourself. Your diagonals have to change. To make money in the stock market, what you need is three things: vision, courage, and passion. Patience. I talked about the patience, importance of patience right at the beginning. But what stock market is not about the past. Stock market is not about the noise. Stock market is not about the present. You are buying next 15, 20, you might hold it for 6 months, but still you are buying the next 15, 20 years or 30 years of the business. Because the market is going to value next 25, 30 years. So it is very important what you buy is the person who is managing your money. If you are visionary, you don't need anybody. But if the person to whom you are giving, you have to see whether they have the vision to see the future, whether they have the courage to buy whenever they see the future, and they have the patience to hold on to in this point of time. Really, the patience will be tested in this kind of markets, whether you are right or wrong, whether you can hold it. This is the one which this is the last slide. So in the short run, markets are 100% irrational. It is like even a week is irrational, a day is irrational, an hour is irrational, and we talk about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. As you keep reducing the period of market, it becomes, it just goes up in irrationality. So, and as you take it to 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, or 4 year, I think the rationality index keeps going up and we become perfectly rational. So in 10 to 15 years, it is a perfectly rational market. This is what we are struck by. What happens is that in the short run, it becomes very difficult to, and we are trying to rationalize what is irrational. That's the sad part of it. That what happened in the market yesterday, it went down by 8%, this went down by 20%, somebody's portfolio got melted, we are just trying to rationalize, which is so irrational. Whatever is happening is irrational. I mean, how can you trade Indigo at 800 and trade Indigo at 1400? And then you come down to 700, even below the issue price. Can you rationalize? I mean, neither can I rationalize 1400, nor can I rationalize 700. So it's crazy. I mean, but if the company makes in next 5 years a 5,000 crores profit, which is my estimate, do you think stock will still be available at 3 or 4 P multiple? You're flying every day in out Indigo. So the issue is whether our call, our vision, that whether the company is going to make that money or not, that's okay. NEO has not come. That doesn't mean that end of the world. NEO will come after 6 months. It happens in the business. Nothing falls in place just by the hour, by the day. So we have to have patience. We can't become very hyper. What comes is the market performance versus the stock performance. You know, the stocks can have their gyrations, huge gyrations. So, but then stocks will outperform or underperform. In the same sector, look at SBI, HDFC, and the index. HDFC Bank in last 5, 7, 10 years has like gone multiple times. And SBI is below the index. Index has done better than SBI. So, I mean, we should not fret about just the market too much. We have to look at the stock and stock. It is very important what happens. And even in the bad time, there are enough stocks which are doing well. If you do your search on a one-year basis, you'll find a lot of stocks are doing very well. Then comes stock performance versus portfolio performance. It is a lot of people, clients are moved by what has happened in Indigo, what has happened here. But boss, even Indigo goes to zero, will still make money. We know the risk of stock market. A stock where you're investing, there is a good chance it can correct by 70, 80, 90%. But that's why we have only 8, 9%, 7% in the portfolio. There are still 90% where it will balance. And we are not so bad that everything will go down with Indigo. You know, so what happens is the loss in one portfolio. I'll tell you one example. 4, 5 years back, we had FT in our portfolio in value strategy. We had 5%. I bought it 1,000, sold it 150. So we got, I mean, out of 5%, almost 4.5% went away, 4% went away. But in the same year, we had bought iShares at 2,000, which went to 8,000. So what happened? My 5 rupees in iShares became 20 bucks, and this 5 rupees became 1 rupee. Still, we doubled the money. So what is important is to see the portfolio, not bother too much about individual stocks. Now, this is very important thing at this point of time, because there are 2 types of population in the world. One which has invested, one which has not invested at all. The guys who want to invest a little more among the newer clients or the clients who are already there, they want to allocate even more. Most of the guys, they start doing little bit. When market works, then they come a little more. And then at 9,000, 10,000, they bring bulk of it. So they create a reverse pyramid. The way to go is the green pyramid. You have to come heavily whenever you feel like and be done with very quickly, rather than doing it reverse. So that you get the best of the current market conditions, whatever it is, whenever you decide, whenever you think that markets are bottomed out, or whenever you decide. Or you go complete SIP, don't bother about the market conditions. So the way to build portfolio, in my style, is to go heavily whenever you want to get in. We do that in stocks, we do it in the markets. We have this QGLP, which I don't want to quality growth, longevity at reasonable price, which has come out after 20 years of wealth creation studies. Let me just tell you only one part of it, that is quality of the business. There are 3 types of businesses: great, good, gruesome. Okay? So any business, there are 3 types of companies, and there are 95% of the companies are useless companies. They should not be in your portfolio, your client's portfolio. Only 5% of the companies, they are good or great. Good, you understand, 20% return on equity. Great companies are 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, Colgate, Lever, 100, 120%, and almost infinite. Without employing capital, negative capital employed, you make money. There are very few, maybe 25, 30, 40 companies. There are about 200 good companies, maybe 250. But after that, 2,750 companies, they're all useless. They should not be in your portfolio. You pay to your portfolio manager not to see them in the portfolio. Because 90% of the problem comes in the portfolio because of those junks which enter the portfolio because they look to be very cheap. They are the most expensive companies. So even today, you see the problems. Problem is not because of high quality. Problem is because of low quality. Problem is not because of 30P companies. Problem is because 5, 7P companies. Because those E's are not there only. Yeah. Another thing we realized in one of the wealth creation studies, just listen to this. This has been the most insightful thing. Uncommon means abnormal profits. If you want to make a lot of money, see, nobody comes here to make 7%. They're all population of greedy people. We're all greedy people. Let's acknowledge that. Our clients are greedy, you are greedy, I am greedy. I am the greediest. So you make a lot of money only when the companies make a lot of money. There is no way you can make a lot of money unless the companies make a lot of money. Infosys is up 6,000 times from 93 because the earnings are up 6,000 times, precisely. 45% compounded in the stock, 45% compounded in the earnings. Is that a mathematics? But Infosys will also must have gone up down by 7% yesterday. So, what is important is to see which are the companies, which are the businesses who are making a lot of money. And in your portfolio, do you see the companies which are going to make a lot of money? At least that much common sense you have. Yeah, this is another good one. Growth and value. What happens is that you need growth and quality. So you see a lot of good quality companies, Castrol, Colgate, Hindustan Lever. They are like a terrific boat in the river, first-class boat. They will never sink, whatever be the storm. But you don't want to be in the river not to sink. You want to go over. You want to travel the lake. And that can happen only if you have the good engine, which will take you forward. And that is growth. So if you have only growth without quality, right at the middle of the lake, you'll sink. If you have only quality without growth, you'll be staying there, safe. What we want to do, we want to make a lot of money. So you need quality as well as that. That's why we call it QG, quality and growth. And that becomes an art. And market finds it very difficult to value quality and growth. Most of the fund managers also find it very difficult to appreciate that there are a lot of companies which have quality as well as growth, and they are expensive. They look to be high P, they're not expensive, they're cheapest companies, because they are going to make money. Now, why we are excited about India? Any point of time. Lower the market, I'm more bullish. Actually, if you ask me today, I'm more bullish than at 9,000. Because at 9,000, the headroom is that much limited. At 7,000, we have extra 2,000 points. So I'm more bullish for the clients. Those who are starting today, I have sympathy for the guys who started at 9,000. Sorry. so at India, the next trillion, it took 60 years. Sir, please tell me when to stop. We can just close it. So, the next $1 trillion opportunity. So it took 60 years for the country to come to $1 trillion in 2007. It took another 7 years to come to double. So right now, we are $2 trillion economy. In China was a $1 trillion economy in 1998. What happened in the next 15 years is what is going to happen in India. We are going to go to $10 trillion by 2030. And this journey happens once in a lifetime in any country. And we have a leader who will take us there. And let me tell you, this journey will happen even if Rahul Baba is there. Nobody can stop it. This journey is going to happen because of all of us, not because of them. But journey will become better if it is somebody better out there. So this journey is going to happen, this once in a lifetime opportunity. And why I'm saying so? Because at $1,000, that was in 2007, your $100 is discretionary. $900 is non-discretionary. There is no corporate activity in that. There is no PVR. There is no there is no foreign trip. There is no, this kind of conference at $1,000. These things are possible only when the discretionary spend starts growing. So what happens is that when you double the GDP, your discretionary spend go from 100 to 1,000. So doubling of GDP is 10 times for the discretionary spend. You see the marriages. 10 years back, destination marriages were just about some big guys that used to do it. Today, if you don't do destination marriage, there's no marriage. So the whole scale is changing. So discretionary spend is growing, and we have seen nothing. This is just about the start of the discretionary spend. It will just explode. So we have to buy the companies which are beneficiary of this discretionary spend, and competition is very limited. In India, you get that. Maruti, it is 45% market share. And this is the largest untapped market in the world. That's why everybody is coming here. You look at the aviation, Boeing. I mean, who gives the order for 500 Boeings, 500 Airbus? Only India. We have 250 planes for this country. 250 planes fly everybody out here. A population of 1.25 billion. China has 4,000 planes. America, every airline has 4,000 planes. You imagine what is going to be the size of flying here. And we become bearish at 10 P in Indigo. So all the best. Pardon?
2 questions.
Yes, sir.
The first question is from Vidya Bala.
Yeah.
We've seen earnings grow, but not revenue. How long can earnings expand without top-line growth? What will be the trigger for top-line growth?
Yeah, so clearly economy is slow mode, and that's the confusion even in GDP growth rate. That 7% GDP growth rate, because Now GDP growth rate is calculated on the basis of value added rather than volume growth. So clearly, volume growth is a function of very individual companies. You have to figure out where exactly the volume growth is not there. And say like day before you might have seen Britannia. I mean, whenever you talk about growth, it's always company specific. There is no general answer to anything. So like Britannia is growing at about 11-12% in terms of volume, and so is the top line growth, but bottom line growth is 51% because of the expansion of the margin. So when will Britannia grow at 51% in top line? That will never happen. Never happen. From next year onwards, they will grow top line at 15% and bottom line so maybe probably 17-18%. So it all depends on the companies, like housing finance companies. They'll keep growing at 20-25% on the top line. But some of the companies like capital goods and all, who have seen contraction in the volumes, they will come back with vengeance. Somebody will grow at 100%, 200%. So those kind of growth will come. So it all depends on the industry and the company. Like say, aviation is growing at 20-25%. So you'll get a very good top line and very good bottom line. In fact, at some point of time when the oil price starts rising, top line will be 25%, bottom line growth will be 15%. So you'll get in every business and companies different kind of mix.
The next question is, you cited, you've categorized companies as great, good, and gruesome. So what about companies which are like Flipkart? So with companies with no profit, but still getting very huge valuations.
Startups, you're talking?
Yeah, startups, e-commerce.
Yeah. So thankfully, these companies are not listed. Otherwise, yesterday they would have had seen what it means. So people would have used the fastest finger first, and they would have been 30, 40, 50% down. You see what happened in the US recently, I think LinkedIn. LinkedIn lost 50, 60% in just 3 sessions. So this is going to be the fate of these companies. Because see, ultimately, it's a commercial transaction. We must not be emotional in equity markets. This is what happened in Y2K. See, if they're not making today, let them make money in the future. I mean, there can be stock which can make money in the future. But forever, these companies cannot stay on the basis of their GMO and a whole lot of those kind of things. They have to have proper profit and also cash flow to justify these kind of valuations. So I'm not that bullish on these kind of things, but I'm incompetent to judge any new startups in the new era.
And finally, there's someone looking for a tip. So do you think SBI is a value buy at current market price?
Yeah, good one. So, I mean, as far as SBI is concerned, I genuinely think that it's a value. That's why we have very small allocation. Despite knowing the trouble coming in, we still stayed on to 2-3% allocation of the entire lot. If there is one stock which I would still have, actually I'm having, is SBI. But it has given a lot of pain, I can tell you this. It has not been good for us. 5% we allocated, it has become 2%. So I have lost 3% performance only because of this stock. But still we are holding because with the great faith that this is one enterprise which will see the light of the day. Because this is the ultimate country and time. If there is one sector, one stock which is completely headwinded today, it is SBI. But I would not gather courage to say that go and bet the house and buy SBI. I would not. But we've got to be very careful because the problem is very deep and how long they'll go and how the market will behave. That's the key. But there will be end to this problem. And as far as the tip for the day is concerned, I think now time is coming, get ready. I think, again, time is coming at some point of time to bet the house in equities for yourself and for the client. All the best. Thank you.